Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fourth episode of the Scruffy-Looking Nerd Herders podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, bringing you all things nerd and geek-related. And today I'm going to be discussing things about Skyrim, some Battle Royale games, more games are going to be coming out, some movie news, TV stuff, kind of Netflix-ish, I don't know, Deadpool 2 release stuff, and a little bit of tabletop gaming. So yeah, I'm going to jump right on in. So, Skyrim, now this is a game that my girlfriend and I have played she's probably played it, not even exaggerating, probably over 1,000 hours. I played it originally on the 360 when it came out. I don't even know how many hours I played it on the 360. But yes, I mean, it came out in, I think it was like 2011. But this game is still extremely popular. It has a huge modding community on the PC. And I know they finally, I think it was, at least with Fallout, I know that Bethesda had released like a way for people on the consoles to get mods and stuff like that. But there was an interview with the game director, Todd Howard, here recently, and he said millions of people still play it every month, which I don't find that hard to believe at all, because, I mean, this game, it's still extremely fun. It's still very, the graphics haven't dated themselves yet. Like, they're still very, it's a very attractive game to play. It's very nice. The graphics are amazing. The textures are super good. But then he went on to joke, because there's so many people cracking jokes at, it's being ported to the Switch now, and then here soon you're gonna be able to play it on a Nintendo 64, and it's just jokes like that. But Todd Howard had a joke back about it, and he basically just said, if you want us to stop releasing it, then stop buying it, which, I mean, if they know that they're going to make money, I mean, they're a business first. Why wouldn't they? I mean, they're trying to sustain themselves as a business. It makes sense. But as of 2014, I looked it up, over 20 million copies of Skyrim have been sold, which that figure does not include sales from the Nintendo Switch, the PS4, or the Xbox One. That's a lot. That's 20 million. That's a lot of copies. And that was 3 years after the game came out. So, I mean, that's tremendous. So the second and the final thing I'm going to talk about with video games, it might go on for a little bit. It's Battle Royale Overload is what I'm calling it. So, there was PUBG, there was Fortnite, I know there was, like the Arma stuff before it, but popularity-wise, there was PUBG, and then there was Fortnite. And then there was Darwin Project that finally came out, which I actually played that on the PC when it was in beta, I believe. And it was pretty fun. It's a little more intuitive, where you have to, survive the elements, and it's almost kind of like Hunger Games, where there's stuff that can attack you, and all sorts of stuff. So it's actually kind of unique in that aspect. But it's still a Battle Royale game. And then there was Call of Duty saying that they were going to do a Battle Royale game mode. And then there was, I believe there was, I want to say it was another, shooter game wanting to do a Battle Royale game mode. But, and even, Rare, they said that they've want to do a Battle Royale mode for Sea of Thieves. I mean, Sea of Thieves, come on. I mean, and then there's countless more games coming out that are Battle Royale based, or they're games that are just going to include a Battle Royale game mode. And I know I'm a huge superhero comic book movie fan, but I know that, there is an oversaturation of them in the market right now, predominantly from Marvel. While they're good and they're, well-written movies, well-acted movies, and they're enjoyable, I do know for some people who aren't keen to or fans of superhero movies, they feel like there's just too many of them. So is this kind of the same thing that we're seeing, but with Battle Royale game modes and like games? I mean, because like I said, I mean, there's tons that are going to be coming out soon. And like I said, not just Battle Royale games, but just game modes themselves for games that predominantly never really had that game mode before. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think Battle Royales are going to become dime a dozen and they're going to be the next first-person shooters? You know, with that huge influx of first-person shooters there was, you know, just like 5-10 years ago. Or do you think that, you know, there are going to be a lot of copies, but PUBG and Fortnite are going to be the big two? Let me know what you think. And socials or what have you. Message me, whatever you want to do. Moving on to movies. I'm just going to kind of go through these a little quick. There's only a handful. But the Dark Phoenix movie, it's now been rumored that it's possibly going to be delayed or canceled. So I know there's a lot of people really looking forward to this Dark Phoenix movie. I'm not a huge fan of the X-Men movies, but I was really wanting to see it. So this is, you know, if it got delayed, that's one thing, but if it gets canceled, that's something completely different, because I know a lot of people put in a lot of work into that movie, and not just the actors and directors and writers, but the people who do the special effects, the people who do the costume design, the people who do the set design. I mean, there's a lot of people invested in a project like that, so it'll be sad to see if it gets canceled, especially because I'm pretty sure it was close to being finished or was finished. In other news of movies being delayed, Indiana Jones 5 has been delayed by an entire year. It was originally going to come out in 2020, but now it's going to be pushed back, and it won't hit theaters until July 9th of 2021. And in a previous episode, I believe it was in episode 3 of my podcast, I actually touched on Jonathan Kasdan was actually going to be helping out with the script and writing and joining the project, and that was actually confirmed. So that's probably why it got pushed back, so he can help write the script and tighten it up and make it solid. But I do know Harrison Ford is still completely on board, because I know he wants to work with Steven Spielberg again. He, you know, has said so in interviews, so I don't feel like the project will get canceled, but it may actually, I foresee it getting pushed back and delayed again, especially after the quote-unquote fan lash out about the new Star Wars movie. So I feel like they'll probably want to take their time with it, I would think, anyway, and make sure it was a tightly honed movie all around. So my son and I and my family in general, we really enjoyed Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. So Netflix is partnering with the head writer and director of Avatar: The Last Airbender, Aaron Ehaz, for a show called The Dragon Prince. And it's going to be about two human princes befriending an elfin assassin to bring peace to their nation, which that doesn't scream Avatar at all. You know, I mean, that's like, that sounds like it could be a part of the Avatar world. But Netflix and the director will be having a panel on Saturday, July 21st at San Diego Comic-Con at 11 a.m. So if you're going to Comic-Con, or if you're going to be keeping up on the Comic-Con news and stuff like that, that's when the panel is going to be. So, like I said, if that's something that you're interested in, keep an eye out for that, because I guarantee there'll be an influx of news about it. And the last thing on movies, Deadpool 2, just touch on this real quick. Walmart is offering a special Funko Pop keychain with every copy sold in their stores. Now, this keychain will be a Bob Ross Deadpool keychain, complete with Ross Pool, which is what they're calling it, Ross Pool, his big hair, a paintbrush, and a palette loaded with paints. And I believe it was shortly before Deadpool 2 came out, like they did the Bob Ross Deadpool crossover teaser for Deadpool 2. So it's kind of a play on that. But Deadpool 2 hits stores August 21st, and the keychain will only be available at Walmart. So if that's something you're interested in, you'll only be able to get it through Walmart, which I'm sure you could probably hit up eBay. Guarantee people are going to be hawking it on there. So this brings me to the last thing I'm going to talk about on this week, or I should say this episode, not this week's. Soon I'll be going to a weekly format, but right now I'm just going to stick with the bi-weekly. So, D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. I know I had mentioned before that I was going to be starting a D&D campaign with my family, and for a while I just wasn't feeling up to it. I guess it was kind of a creative funk I was in briefly. But here recently I've been rewatching Critical Role, which then led to watching Matthew Colville videos, and then that led to rewatching High Rollers, and it just really rekindled that love I had for Dungeons & Dragons 10 plus years ago. Which, side note, if you haven't heard of or watched Critical Role, Matthew Colville, or High Rollers videos, I highly recommend you check them out. If you're a fan of high fantasy or Dungeons & Dragons or tabletop games, especially with Critical Role and High Rollers, it's very role-play heavy, and the people really get into their characters, and it's funny. They crack jokes. There's, pop culture stuff in it, obviously. But it's really fun. It's funny. And then Matthew Colville, his videos are extremely informative for running a campaign as a DM or as a player playing in, a campaign. Extremely informative. And he's also pretty funny as well. Very well spoken. He speaks a little fast. And that's his thing, and he does it well. But yeah, check them out. They're great. So anyway, I will be DMing a campaign for my girlfriend and my sister and my brother-in-law and my mom. So they will be in a party together. And eventually we're going to try to get my uncle and my aunt into their party as well. But since my family listens to my podcast, I'm not going to give away much, except that the setting of the campaign will be set in the same setting as Critical Role. So Tal'Dorei, Exandria, stuff like that. Because I was able to get the Tal'Dorei campaign setting book from that Matthew Mercer put out from Critical Role. So, yeah. Oh, also, side note, again, about Critical Role, all of them on that show are voice actors. And, like, Matthew Mercer did the voice for McCree, for those who aren't aware. And then Travis on there, he did the voice of Thor and pretty much any video game or movie that Thor was in, like a cartoon animation or whatever. He did all the voices for Thor. They're really good voice actors. They really get into their characters. So anyway, back to our campaign. But yeah, I already have 3 plot hooks already planned out, which should be efficient enough for the first at least 2 sessions of gameplay, and that will then give me time to plan out NPCs and stores and stuff like that for when they finally hit up the first city to sell stuff and get more plot hooks. But my girlfriend is going to be a high elf mage. My sister is going to be a half elf bard. My mom is going to be a gnome druid, and my brother-in-law is going to be a half-orc barbarian. Now, I'm still working out the details of their backstories to help bring them into the campaign, like really be invested in it. But nevertheless, we're all extremely excited. I even bought myself a new set of Chessex dice to commemorate my first run as a DM, because I've never done it before. But yeah, I should be getting those. I think the shipping says it should be here sometime next week, so that'll be fun.